Welcome to Friday Night Party Line. I'm your host, Victor Frost, and here on the show today, we've got our wonderful, awesome, and attitude-filled Australian who just had a cup of tea, it seems. We've got Nelson.
Hello.
Hello. Couldn't think of many words to alliterate with N. And we've got, I believe this is his first time on the show, though I may be mistaken. We've got Justin Owen. Yo, Justin, what's up? Justin, we didn't quite hear you.
What's up?
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. All right. So we've got a smattering of topics today, a cornucopia of copious facts of knowledge. So let's get going with this. All right. So an article put out by Ars Technica talks about the Android Wear smartwatches and compares it to Google Glass. The article addresses the fact that a smartwatch is more socially acceptable than Google Glass, and I think they're right. But there's a logical leap. Here we go. There's a logical leap in there that Glass will likely be shelved in favor of Google Wear, partly because of the controversy around Glass. Google Glass has the hardware to allow for some very interesting and useful functionality of and part of that is what makes it so controversial. The chief feature among that is the camera. The controversy is primarily based on, and we've touched upon this several times on this show, on the premise that the camera is always going to be on and it's always going to be recording, which is blatantly not true. But that is fundamentally rooted in the premise that privacy should exist in public spaces. And that itself is a whole different kettle of fish. It has spurred on the cultural kickback to Glass. But should the current social acceptability of a form factor or a feature set of a product or a product itself stop the development of that technology, especially when it's questionable whether the objections of the people who decry it are even valid? Should it? I mean, Is that... What?
No, next topic.
No. No, next topic. Okay.
So as a few,
well, if we're gonna do that, we're gonna have like the shortest episode of Friday Night Party Line.
So I bought Glass a while ago, and I wore it around a little bit, and I didn't have many negative reactions. You know, I just wore it like to actual functions. Like I went to the like a show at the museum, and things like that. Places where it would be culturally acceptable. I didn't just go like walk around the streets taking pictures of people or anything. And most people that I met were kind of interested, and they're like, "Oh, that's a cool thing. Let me try it on." Things like that. But there definitely was a how do I say this? A responsibility on my part to be, like, I hate to use the phrase, but a brand ambassador when I was wearing it. And honestly, I didn't really want to do that. So I actually sold my Glass for lots of monies that I used to buy an Oculus Rift. But
I'm not sure I'd blame you.
I think the problem is, yes, people that have Glass, can band together and, show a really good social paradigm and, like, not be dicks to other people, and maybe that will eventually, change the cultural attitudes towards face computers. But the individual energy that needs to go into that, I don't think is enough for a lot of people to expend on that project. And Google's own support for it has been... They haven't dropped support for it, but they haven't been... they haven't poured a bunch of effort into, updating it really quickly, getting an app store set up, all the things that would be needed to actually make it a viable product.
So you think Google just sort of forgot about it?
They didn't. I mean, there's still updates. There's still people working on stuff. I think it is definitely going to remain a niche thing, even more than smartwatches, which, by the way, are super niche. Like, people don't have smartwatches. People probably aren't going to go and buy smartwatches.
Well, actually, I have an older Sony one.
Oh yeah, I do too, but we're like super techies compared to the general population.
I don't have a
Isn't
smartwatch.
that supposed?
Yeah,
You're
even
like the only two people I know who have smartwatches.
There you go.
Well, isn't that sort of why the I mean, for example, let's take what is arguably the best Google smartwatch that it's not out there now, but it's coming, the Motorola 360, which is the nice round one. It looks like a watch. It has the whole watch sort of aesthetic to it. That's going to be like the flagship Google Wear thing.
Yeah.
And I can, like, even my non-techie friends, I've shown them this watch and like, wow, yeah, I would totally buy this. I would totally buy and wear this.
Well, that's
I don't think the smartwatch is going to be quite as niche as
I think
as
it will. See, the thing is, what does the smartwatch do? Like, our current generation, it's basically notifications and like maybe some fun little apps, which is perfectly great. And like when I wear my Pebble around, I don't have to pull out my phone in the middle of the street. That's great. That's it's nice. And when they add voice support, that's kind of nifty. But it doesn't it's not. It's not a game-changing, like, societal shift like smartphones are. Like, I don't think it's.
Well, Well, I'm going to say I don't even know that many people who wear watches anymore.
That's also true.
I mean, a lot of people, when I'm like, you don't wear a watch, and they're like, yeah, well, I can just pull out my phone and check the time. And I mean, that confuses me because I like always knowing what time it is, but.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people don't wear the watch because they can just pull out their phone. And the reason they rather use their phone than wear a watch is because the phone has so much more utility than just being able to tell the time. And I think if I had a phone, see, I don't use my phone for like playing like a ton of video games on it or anything. If I had a phone with like, say, a smaller screen, or hell, let's even just drag it out to the extreme, basically just a handset with like a microphone and a speaker in it.
Embedded in your hands, so you can do this.
I saw something like that at like Disney World like 10, 15 years ago. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But it's like just like basically a phone handset without the giant battery draining screen, and then just like a little watch in here with a mini screen that'll connect to the phone. The phone can have all the antennas and the giant-ass battery to power the giant-ass antennas, and it can have all the large amount of storage for keeping my entire Google Music library on it, and that can just like live in my satchel or like my back pocket or something, and like all the stuff like, okay, I want to call this person, okay Google, call whatever. And that'll all be controlled through my watch, which is always there. I don't have to dig into my pocket to pull it out or, whatever. It just is always going to be there. And I can just... Because most of the time when I use my phone, it's just to see emails that have come in or text messages that have come in. And if I can do that with a device that's always there and it's unobtrusive, it's a low form factor, then...
Oh, yeah, there's definitely utility, but I don't know if there's enough utility to spend, like... actual money on it.
I don't think a lot of people will. I don't think a lot of people will buy it until you get kind of what happened with phones, where the way smartphones eclipse dumb phones in the market. There may come a time when people just aren't selling dumb watches anymore, and so everyone has a Bluetooth enabled, I can talk to my phone watch. But at the same time, with Glass coming out, I think that might eclipse it first. I don't know. They're both things that I'm expecting to catch on very slowly in the near future, at least.
Agreed. It's interesting though. The cultural attitudes towards smartwatches have been they're ingrained in our culture. Like Dick Tracy had a smartwatch. Like we have that precedent.
Well, he had a watch walkie-talkie, anyways.
Yeah, but at least we had that precedent of like someone sees a smartwatch, they're like, oh, Dick Tracy, okay. But someone sees Google Glass, they think Borg. Different precedents.
I think the fact that a watch is such a more familiar form factor. I mean, glasses are a familiar form factor, but not like Google Glass. Because watch is such a more familiar form factor, I think what it really needs to get that sort of in popularity is, and I wish it wasn't so, like in my heart of hearts, I wish it wasn't so, but I know it is. No product placement in a blockbuster action movie.
You know what?
That's what it needs. You need Tom Cruise in the next Tom Cruise action movie, wearing a Moto 360. You need Scarlett Johansson in the next, dramatic romantic comedy thing, using her smartwatch to call whoever the hell her love interest is this time. You need that. I think that might be I think that might tip smartwatches over the edge from being oh hey, look at this, it's a little novelty, to I need to go to Walmart or whatever and buy this now.
I'm interested to see, because there have been some conceptual things about this, but this smartwatch, the next smartwatch I will buy, it is a nice, regular watch with a glass face and a mechanical movement and everything, and actual, hands. That also, the glass top of it is a screen that can run smartwatchy bits. And I've seen some concepts of this, but, nothing's in the pipeline as far as I know. But that is the smartwatch I will buy. And it's also, super thin, because I have tiny wrists.
So moving back to the original question of this topic. I mean, at Google Glass, it has been, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future, a controversial product. Mostly because people are just afraid of what it can't even do now, because Google has gimped it.
Yeah.
But
when it looks like a pair of glasses, no one will have a problem with it.
Right. When it looks like
the other thing.
Yeah.
It kind of just hangs out off the side of your head there. I mean, maybe not as much as that hand motion would indicate, but it's quite obvious you're wearing it. Whereas, your smartwatch, you just look down, oh yeah, that guy's wearing a watch. And unless you're a real watch freak, you're probably not going to notice.
Yeah.
What we need is the Den-No coil glasses. We need Den-No coil glasses.
That's the third time those have been mentioned on this show.
I want them bad, man. I want my little virtual puppy dog.
To be fair, the first time was not even by you, so you're only two up.
Well, when someone invents the goggles from a Rondo, I'm just gonna buy them.
Yep.
Or Geordi's, or like the contact lens version of Geordi's eyes from the Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
that
what,
was a good What? Tell me.
I don't know. There are some extra applications for older watches that I don't think that all of the smartwatches are going to have for quite some time, until we start seeing the major manufacturers get into it. Well, for example, this is a Longines Le Grand Classique. That's about $2,500 to $4,000 worth of watch, depending on where you get it.
There's also the point that smartwatches are not expensive or shiny.
Yeah, like the Moto 360 is going to be what, $250?
Yeah.
See,
No, what we need is Rolex to make a smartwatch and product place
No.
that in the next
Yeah,
phase.
No, that's
the
not
point
going to
I'm
work.
making. Because,
not
say,
gonna
if
work
I'm going to
because-
the bank, or to the car yard, for example, to borrow a car for a test drive, if I walk in with a Galaxy Gear, someone's just going to go, oh yeah, regular watch. You walk into a real nice car dealership with a nice suit wearing something like this, they'll fucking just loan you a BMW. They'll just loan you a Mercedes. I didn't even buy this watch.
Did you take it off of someone?
Were you wearing a
Driving
slightly less
BMW?
expensive watch and asked to borrow it?
No, actually, it was a gift from when I was a flight attendant. Long story.
Nice.
Well, and even better, it wasn't even a gift to me. It was a re-gift from someone else.
Excellent. Okay, all you 3 listeners out there, if you want a nice watch, go become a flight attendant.
Yeah,
Else-
especially in the Middle East. That's probably the best place for it.
Saudi Arabia Airlines. So-
Yeah, Etihad, Emirates. I mean, you're not really meant to take tips, but I do know a guy who walks around with a watch that's worth more than my house because he took good care of a sheik on a flight. So
Nice.
Hell yeah. There we go. So, yeah, but hold on a second. The whole making a like Rolex making a fancy smartwatch doesn't work. I don't think, because Vertu made a smartphone before smartphones were incredibly.
But it was shitty. It was
yeah,
so
it
shitty.
balls.
Like if that what's the watchmaker that begins with a T that's really nice?
Timex? No, not Timex.
That's really nice.
What?
That's really nice.
They have like fancy diver watches.
It's not like Tuvalu.
Oh,
If a fancy watch manufacturer teamed up with Google, which I'm sure they're looking to do, Google's looking to do that, and they made a nice, fancy watch. See, the watch market is super, super expensive and super, super cheap.
Mhm.
Like, that is, as far as I know, that's the market. So something in the middle, like a $200 smartwatch, is like, okay, whatever. It's not a status symbol, and it's not cheap enough to buy at Walmart. Like,
So
when
why
you
would you
have
buy
the $20 smartwatch and the $5,000 smartwatch, you're gonna make money.
Mhm.
So what a Seamaster Plus?
Ah, Tissot. That's
What it is.
Has-
They make some- They make some nice watches.
When Omega starts using smartwatches to be the official timepiece of the Olympics.
Oh, fuck the Olympics. It'll be the official timepiece of James
Timepiece
Bond.
of-
That's when they'll
Yeah,
take
there you
off.
go.
Precisely.
Who's
Actually,
who's
That
the
would be
current
perfect product placement.
Mm-hmm.
James
who's
Bond
the,
in any
who's the
gadget.
who's the current timepiece sponsor for Formula One? I can't remember. Is it? Oh God.
Huh, that's a good question, actually. I'm going to look that up while you keep talking.
Their logos are everywhere, all around the track, but it's come to the point where it's just sort of like visual noise now. It's not something I even think about anymore.
Rolex,
It's either
apparently.
Rolex or Tag Heuer.
Rolex sounds more like it, I think.
Ooh,
All right. Well,
apparently Rolex took over from Hublot.
okay.
Well, there you go.
Now you know.
All right. Well,
I don't
that
like
topic's
Rolex.
pretty much
that
that topic's pretty much dead and gone.
Yeah.
We may address this. We may address this revisit this topic in the future if further developments occur with regards to Google Glass versus
Self-driving
Google
cars.
smartwatches. Oh.
Once per show.
Google self-driving cars that can be remote controlled from the Google Watch.
Google self-winding
That's a-
watch.
It doesn't. It uses gyroscopes to actually rotate your whole wrist.
God, that would be fucking annoying.
Wait,
So,
are you
like,
saying that
you
you would have
have
to
a
drive? You
autopilot.
have to drive like this?
Yeah. One hand on the wheel and
Don't you know, man? Victor's just like, he is way back in the seat, one arm out, just fucking big pimping, man.
Yeah, you know what it is? Here's what it is.
Seriously,
Ready?
if-
Ready? Ready, guys? Ready? Ready?
Ready?
Oh, well.
Remember how to work your chair yet?
I forgot the hydraulics are already down. Ready?
Oh.
they see him rolling.
They're hating. Though, if you actually did
visual
have a watch that
gag.
would swing your arm around, I give it maybe 2 minutes before someone wrote an app that would basically just be strap this on your
Break
wanking
your
arm.
arm. Basically, just break your whole damn arm.
See, I went
Hold
masturbation.
on, guys.
Well,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Something's gone horribly wrong. Weird. Hold on a second.
Is this related to this crackling I've been hearing all show?
No, it's not related to the crackling. Hold on. Something's gone horribly wrong, and I don't know what it is. Just hang on.
Is this going to be the
Like-
first time
like-
you've cut something out for quite some time?
Yeah, probably, because I'm missing like 2 to 3 minutes of you guys' side of a conversation. Let's see what was the last
Oh,
thing you guys
no.
left off. Hold on.
You could just splice in like I don't know.
Hold on, guys. I gotta
Clips from previous shows.
Let me just hear where you guys sort of left off. Okay, it looks like we lost it right about when I asked Turbo who the current F1 sponsor is for timepieces.
You should put in a little announcement being like, unknown hackers stopped our broadcast at this point. What do they
Google
not
is
want you to
censoring
know?
The NSA, the segment of our show discussing the sponsors of Formula One was taken down by the FIA.
But taken down by the FAA. Not
Declared
even
a
a
no-fly
related
zone.
organization. They just fuck it.
Fuck, forget it. All right. Somebody say something.
Something.
It's actually Google
Okay, there we
fucking
go.
taking us down for talking shit about Google Glass.
There it is.
We are
right.
using a Google product.
Dun dun dun.
Are we good to go for?
Yeah, I'm setting up
Oh, shit.
my backup recorder just in case. So,
Oh, cool.
I actually
Why not?
heard, like, I was
There we go.
standing around the other day outside, just, having a smoke in my front yard. And fucking these school kids are walking by. I'm not paying much attention. And they're just fucking giving each other shit. And one of them turned to the other and has gone, yeah, your dick's so small, even Google couldn't find it. I'm just like, we're truly living in a technological age.
That's fantastic.
Actually, I really like the episode, Monday's episode of Geek Nights, talking about how that little kid comes in Rim's house. He starts trying to poke at the TV screen.
Thinking
Well, I
it's like
suppose you can do the flip
tablet?
side of that. Your mom is so fat, she shows up on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Oh. Your
Alright,
mum
so let's move on
I'm
to
having
the,
serious concerns about her cardiovascular health.
One more time, Turbo?
Your mum is so fat, I'm having serious concerns about her cardiovascular health.
Okay.
That's hard to say with my accent. My mouth
Alright,
just
so let's
starts running
do the,
into each other.
Let's start doing the next topic. So, all right. So, we here on Friday Night Party Line, I'd like to say we have a fairly wide breadth of knowledge, a depth of experience. But what is it? We are all of the older persuasion. We're all older now. We were not terribly old. We're not like Rim old.
Fucking Methuselah, man.
Isn't Scott older?
Yeah.
I don't remember, to be honest.
Whatever. Anyway, so I have a little brother, and we do have a few younger listeners I've been hearing. So why don't we just talk? We're gonna let's faff about for like about 20 minutes and just talk about some skills or knowledge we think people should know to be better rounded individuals.
Read a book. Read a book. Read a motherfucking book.
Read a motherfucking book.
Also,
not a sports page.
Not a magazine.
Or a magazine.
Well, you could read New York Magazine. We're pretty good. So
advertising for your employer on the show.
some free advertising. So a lot of people say that you should learn to code, and a lot of people say no, you shouldn't learn to code. That's stupid. What are you even doing? I say
that's stupid.
You shouldn't necessarily learn to code, but you should have the basic understanding of how the things you use work, and that in this case, computers. Like you should know that a car has an engine, and it takes oil, and what the oil does, and what the gas does. You don't need to know how like a carburetor works, internally. You could learn
engine
that.
Is a spinning explosion machine. An engine is a spinning explosion machine running on liquid dinosaur.
Basically,
well,
but you should understand like this part of the engine, goes to the drive shaft.
It's actually mostly ferns from before dinosaurs existed.
But like you should understand what a monitor is, what a hard drive is, like the most basic stuff.
What an operating system is.
Yeah. What's the difference between an operating system and a program? That's it. That's the only level of depth that you need. But you should know at least that.
The difference between your computer and your monitor.
Yep. But my parents gave a computer to my grandmother recently, which is a whole opening for a series of nightmares, but she thinks that Firefox is her computer. Like, she cannot express the difference between her computer desktop and when she's opened Firefox to the Google front page. And it's a problem.
That is the most basic of things that you need to know.
Although the best advice for dealing with computers is just read the things on your screen.
Yes.
Like when an error message happens, read it carefully and go, wait, what is this talking about?
Just read it. There have been studies, eye tracking studies done on people, non-technical people looking at error messages. Their eyes don't actually read the message. They just see error, and then they just totally shut down.
Yep.
That is something you should know. Also, bike riding is useful. You should learn how to ride a bike. A lot of people apparently don't know how to ride a bike.
You should be able to, and completely connected to learning how to ride a bike, you should learn how to be able to read a map, not just a conventional map, but like a subway map or a bus map.
Yeah.
You should have some sort of understanding of how to properly parse a public transit timetable.
Yeah.
Also, learning to read contour maps can make your life easier so that you don't find yourself stuck going, I didn't expect this hill to be this steep.
So I'm a member of a gaming group that plays a game called Arma, and they have a lot of contour maps. And there was one point where we were setting up a mission, and we were going to ambush another group of people. And they were like, all right, so we're going to position Alpha on this hill and, Bravo over there.
Was it actually a depression?
Yeah, about 5 minutes later, someone piped up and they're like, you know that's a ditch, right? Contour maps are important.
See, this is where Arma is actually extremely accurate to real life. Because officers can't read maps. There's nothing in the world more dangerous than an officer with a map and compass.
What are some other things you should learn? I mean, basic shit. Learn all the basic shit.
You should learn. You should be able to. You should know how to, for example, replace a faceplate for a switch in your house. It's not complicated. It's 2 flathead screws. And why the fuck is it flathead screws still? Yeah,
You just
there are
take
people
it
who know
off
that.
and then put the new one on and then screw it back in.
They are perplexed by it. They are utterly perplexed by it, and I cannot understand this.
Yeah, basic home improvement, basic cooking.
How to put up a shelf.
Make sure your parents teach you how to clean all of the parts of your house, and how to replace light bulbs. And
here's a good one people should know. So I have roommates, and I've had a lot of roommates over the years. When I grew up, this is what we did. We had a sponge that you do the dishes with, right?
yeah.
And when that sponge gets old, you get a new sponge, but the old sponge you use to clean the counters and all the less less clean stuff. And you just have the system where you when a sponge gets old, it's the shitty sponge. And the shittier the sponge is, the shittier the job is. Your counter sponge, when that gets replaced,
you start using it for floors.
Yeah, or the floor sponge or whatever. Apparently, almost no roommates I have ever had have ever heard of this system.
I have not heard of this system.
It's a useful system.
It is a useful
I
system.
usually just pick out one sponge and say, this is the dish sponge, and this is the floor sponge, and you do not use the floor, etc. sponge.
Do not.
Woe
betide you if you use the floor sponge on the dishes.
And then my roommates don't make any effort to make a distinction from them, and I jump out the window.
Yeah. Or if you live alone, doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter at all. But if you live with roommates, do your dishes within 3 days. That's all I'm asking. That is the point at which it becomes a problem.
If you have a dishwasher, just load them in.
Yeah, put them in.
Well, yes, but then you have to clear the dishwasher when it finishes. Yeah, people who don't do dishes are terrible. Never be the person who doesn't do dishes.
Learn how to do dishes efficiently. That's all. That's a basic thing you should know.
Also, learn the basic principles of how things are done and why they're done that way. Because otherwise, a lot of people will buy things like kitchen gadgets and cleaning gadgets and things like that without understanding the underlying principle of how you're meant to do things and how it's meant to work. And you can have, I don't know, the fanciest fucking steam mop on the planet, but your floor's still going to look shitty if you don't understand how to clean a floor properly.
Basic vacuuming 101. Learn it.
Which, for the record,
and then you go back.
Should be soapy wet mop, squeeze all that out, rinse it out, then do your floor with the still moist but not sopping mop, and then preferably go around with either a dry mop or just, I don't know, stand on an old towel or something and scoot around the floor on it, or whatever you need to do that way, and dry the floor off with something like an old towel. Best floors.
That's some A+ floors right there.
Fucking disgusting.
Learn how to hang a shelf.
Yeah.
You can't just put the L brackets any fucking place. You gotta put them in a stud.
Yeah.
Know what a stud is.
Knowing what a stud is. Yeah.
That is very important.
This apparently is not something that everyone knows. Walls, you see, have studs. They're not a block of material that you can just drill things in and they will support weight.
Walls are mostly made out of plaster. Every so
walls
often,
are mostly
there is a vertical board. The vertical board is called a stud. When hanging things on walls, find the stud. You can buy a stud finder in Home Depot to find them for you, and put things in the stud. Or you can just knock on the fucking wall.
Knock on the wall. Walls make different sounds. Objects make different sounds if they are hollow or not. That is a very important thing that not everyone knows.
If you find the stud, 16 inches in either direction is, guess what? Another stud.
That's also very
Also,
cool.
if you buy a stud finder, you have the bonus of you're able to make that stupid joke where you hold it to your chest and it lights up. Because turns out your sternum will also trigger it. Just don't do it too much because those things are radioactive a bit.
Really?
Basic. I don't
Haven't you seen them? They got a fucking big sticker on them with the radioactive thing that says "Don't fucking fuck with this."
I don't think everyone needs to know fashion stuff, but like, learn how clothes fit. That's it.
Don't
Just
wear.
learn-
Okay, no. There is
Well,
one
no.
fashion thing that people should know. Men, you cannot wear white socks every day. Wear white socks when you're going exercising. Otherwise, get some fucking different colored socks. Either wear black socks all the time, which is what I do, and black socks don't necessarily have to be like up and past your calf.
I got some
wear,
socks
like,
for you.
regular-
Ready? Ready?
Yeah, look at that. See?
Look at
Wear
that.
some socks.
Deadpool socks.
These are some
Deadpool
socks.
socks. Yeah. Wear some. Just wear different colored socks. Wear black socks or socks with like Argyle pattern on them or whatever. Just don't wear all white socks.
Yeah, Argyle socks
It's wrong.
look super fancy, and they're like $2. They're
Yeah,
not
You
expensive.
can get like a pack of 10. You can get like a pack of 10 pairs of them for like $10.
Learn
Yeah.
to type as well would be good. I don't
Learning
want to
to
have to
type
sit
is
there
good,
for
but-
5 minutes, like while you're trying to find fucking how to type LOL.
I mean, you don't
I-
necessarily have to learn how to touch type.
Yeah, I have a confession
Type
to
at a
make.
decent click.
I have a confession to make. I know intellectually how to touch type, but in practice, I do not actually properly touch type.
Yeah, me either.
Huh.
My
Yeah.
school had touch typing classes.
My school had them for 1 grade, and then I moved to another school that did not have them.
Ah.
My
It's,
school had them for 1 grade, but I just burned. I was at that point I could type fast enough just by looking at it
Yeah.
that by the time the teacher turned around to look at me, I was like pretty much already done.
I guess the real thing is learn how to type without looking at your hands. That's it. Like, if you can type fast enough without looking at your hands, you're good. You're just good to go.
Or even if you are looking at your hands, don't learn how to not hunt and peck.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to type like
Yeah, typey
and
type.
then just like really like type fast.
And also, if you do learn to type without looking at your hands, it really freaks people out if you type while you're looking at them and they're not in the direction of the screen.
Oh yeah, I've done that before. Great.
You know what taught me how to
That's
type
fun.
without looking at my hands? And also how to type fast? Video games.
Carmen Sandiego.
Video games. Because if you're
Talking of
playing
the
a
dead.
shooter and you type something, you need to type really fucking fast or else you're going to get shot.
So you guys
It's
should
okay, I already have a macro that just says lol owned scrub. I bind it to a mouse button.
if you want to learn how to type fast and you have a Steam account, which I imagine most of our listeners probably do, you just go pick up Typing of the Dead on Steam.
Yes, especially the sweary
Yes.
language pack,
Yes.
which is my favorite thing in the fucking world. It is the finest piece of DLC ever released.
The screenshots of it are hilarious.
I
What
feel
else?
like we've covered the basics.
If you are of driving age, you should know how to control your car in a skid.
Oh, that's useful, yeah.
And how to drive a stick.
I don't
Yeah.
know how to drive a stick. I know, like, what to do, but I don't have practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not encountered a manual transmission car in order to actually do it, but I know the process of it. I'm fairly confident I won't go on the transmission.
I've done that a few times.
Mm.
I don't know if he still does, but my dad used to have a 98 Saab 900. It had a turbo, which I thought was super cool when I was younger.
You realized it's a sub.
It lasted like 300,000 kilometers or miles or whichever it was actually counting in. I think it's still around. I think it still works. It's a good car. Broke down a few times. I don't think one of the doors works.
I love the sound of a turbo wastegate.
It is excellent.
Turbo flutter.
What else? Learn to read. Definitely.
If they haven't learned to read, how do they manage to find their way to Friday Night Party Line?
I don't know. What are some higher level skills that you should learn?
How to find a clitoris.
That is something you should learn. Yeah.
How to talk to people. How to make small talk. How to kiss someone. How to find a clitoris. Or alternatively, not even alternatively, just and how to give head.
How to find a clitoris. Alternatively, how to find a penis. True.
Yeah. Here's something I learned. Ready for really too much information with Nelson?
No.
So
as long as it's not a regular segment on the show, okay.
No.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have to make a jingle and.
I had some friends up in Rochester
with Nelson.
A man and a woman who are now married. They're very nice people. They were art students at RIT, and we used to have sexy fun times together. And I am a mostly straight man. Like, I do not know about the other dudes, you know. But I thought, what the hell? There is a beautiful woman, you know, doing sexy fun times to me. I will try to give a hand job to a dude at the same time. And I learned circumcised and uncircumcised dicks are completely different sexual organs. This is true.
Yeah.
Everyone just nods.
Oh yeah, I forgot
So
I actually have to say
encounter-
things. Yes.
If in the wild you encounter one of those things and you have experience with the other type, don't go in thinking you know what to do, because you don't. You really don't. Think of it as a completely separate. There are 3 types of sexual organs.
Oh, Tumblr is angry with you now for saying there's only 3 types.
Ah, jeez.
There's actually infinite types.
There's an infinite type.
There are 6 billion types of sexual organs. Each person on
7 billion now.
Oh God, I was just like, you know what? I have no problem pissing off Tumblr. I'm like, bring it on.
No, I don't think anybody has a problem pissing off Tumblr because it just happens with or without your intervention.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if we could harness the energy...
Yeah. Distilled Tumblr angst. You can sell it to Starbucks as an additive to their coffee.
I thought they already put it in. I thought it was that.
Oh no! You're confusing it with you're confusing it with the dark chocolate liquid. It's different but similar.
It's very similar though.
Tumblr angst is just as sweet and delicious.
I don't know. Here's the thing people should know, and this is more higher level. Look into social engineering. Just look into it. Just like read a book on it, because it's not about getting away with stuff. It's about getting out of situations. Like, even the most simple situation, you know, you're locked out of work, right? You don't know how to get in. You're worried that, oh no, how am I going to get there? Just know how to behave in that situation, and you'll get back into work. No worries.
Learn how to walk with purpose.
Yes. Walking with purpose is very important.
Yeah.
And related to what Nelson was saying about social engineering, learn how to manipulate people, not so you will manipulate people, so you will know when you yourself are being manipulated.
That's very important.
Also, learn to walk without rhythm so that you don't attract the worm.
Take a 2-week course from the Ministry of Silly Walks.
But actually, I don't know where I was going with that.
But actually,
so what's this bullshit about an apartment building with another entrance anyway?
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
staring at it for like
That's-
2
that's
minutes. I
hilarious.
don't know what the fuck is up with this shit.
Right, so
Shall
we've been at this advice thing for about 15, 20 minutes now. So yeah, it's about time to move on to the next thing.
Most of it's
so-
wildly incoherent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because apparently that is what the listeners want. They want our mildly incoherent babbling. So next episode, we're all going to be high on OxyContin. And,
Excellent.
Well, hey.
all right, so yeah, my apartment was a second entrance. There's an apartment in New York that has an entrance for the richer people in the apartment, but then they have like one floor of apartments that's supposed to be cheaper for as affordable
it's
housing
rent
for
Yeah,
lower.
they
It's
they
rent
get a
controlled.
tax
One
break
floor of it is
for-
rent controlled.
They get a tax
And
break for doing having affordable housing, and so they're like, we want this tax break, so we want a floor full of lower income people.
Yeah, which
Poor
is
people.
great. I'm
Yeah.
glad that we have the mechanisms in place that that kind of promote developers to build, at least a little bit of affordable housing.
Yeah.
The
Right.
problem
And
comes.
I foresee in this topic I'm going to be playing the role of devil's advocate. So
Quite possibly.
This is my role for this topic. I may not necessarily. I will point out when I express opinions that I myself do not believe in. But go ahead, Nelson.
Okay,
And
the
it's
problem
Upper
comes.
West- Sorry.
Yeah, the problem comes when you have your main entrance, and then you build a second entrance for the lower classes.
Yeah, so this building is like Upper West Side, which is the second most expensive neighborhood to actually live in New York City, and it's on the waterfront and also like 2 blocks from Lincoln Center, so ludicrously expensive.
Money.
Money.
If you just started shoveling money at them, they would laugh at you because you didn't have enough money.
You could not shovel enough money at them during a month to cover your rent. Okay,
You would
that's
need a
probably an
backhoe.
exaggeration. But yeah, so they're like, but we don't want to see poor people walking in through the front of the building because that will ruin our property values.
Yeah.
So they build a side entrance in the alley that everyone in the affordable housing has to use.
Yeah, there's a quote from from David von Spreckelson, Senior Vice
sounds
President
like
of
a rich
Toll
person.
Brother. He sounds like, and if you have this quote, no one ever said that the goal was full integration of these populations. So now you have politicians talking about that, saying how horrible those back doors are. I think it's unfair to expect very high-income homeowners who paid a fortune to live in their building to have to be in the same boat as low-income renters who are very fortunate to live in a new building in a great neighborhood. And here is where I begin playing devil's advocate. Because clearly the side that is typically upheld is that, oh, it's terrible that that poor people should have a separate entrance. But you know what? Here I am, devil's advocating, and I'm going to say, you know what? This guy is right. I mean, you're living in Upper West Side Manhattan, a place that has been basically built to be a nicer neighborhood because you have, for people who are richer, who can afford the $20 Mochiatos or whatever, and can buy the backhoe, not just rent the backhoe to shovel the money at the owners of this building. And you know what? They should be entitled to it. I mean, if you are driving a Rolls Royce, there's a certain amount of cachet that comes with driving a Rolls Royce. There shouldn't be a low-income Rolls Royce for people. Otherwise, the brand of Rolls Royce loses its value.
There is something to be said for them. If they lose more on the property values than they're getting in tax breaks, then it might actually be worthwhile to the companies to do away with the housing entirely.
Yeah, that's my
They
counter
didn't have
argument.
the option. Yeah.
My counter argument is that you built residences that are for people, and you want the poor people to pay you money to live there. You put in all these things, and you want the government to give you money to let poor people live there, there is greater value in having a society that has mixed incomes than in a segregated strictly class segregated society. And the government.
But wait a minute, doesn't that do away with the whole capitalist dream that you work hard or you inherit and you get a whole ton of money and you have this money and you want to take advantage of the benefits that come with it?
That's not a very convincing devil's advocate argument.
Hold on. You grow up in the slums and you pull your way up. You work your way through through medical school or whatever.
You pull yourself up by your bootstraps in violation of all laws of conservation of momentum.
Yep, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
And let's also not forget, it's not like they're doing this out of the kindness of their heart.
No, they're not.
They're doing it for a big fucking tax break, and if that tax break wasn't there, those poor people would be told to fuck off.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going, oh yeah, no, fucking, you're living here because we're giving you the privilege. No, we're living here. You're living here because the government is essentially giving us money to have you here. Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah. Cities in America, lots of major cities, are having problems because the rent is too damn high. And there are two ways we can go forward with this. We can either say, okay, poor people don't deserve to live here, they can't afford it, whatever, and just make a Disneyland for rich people, which is what some cities are thinking of doing.
They do. It's called a gated community.
San Francisco.
Yeah. The problem with that is that the people that make the city actually run can't afford to live there, and it becomes harder and harder to have basic things happen. There are issues with that path. The other path is to somehow, and I don't have the answer for this, there are lots of things that you can try, but somehow make cities relatively affordable to live in for a relatively large swath of the population. Not all of them, and not, completely affordable, but, artificially create the environment where people who aren't super rich can live in a city. And a lot of countries and a lot of cities in them have decided to go on that path, and the median, however you measure it, things generally turn out better for those cities. It comes down to collectivism versus individuality, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of societies have decided that a slightly more collectivist attitude towards things like this is better for everyone in the long run, which personally I agree with. There's nothing evil about the first point of view. It's just that I don't think it's very workable as a long-term solution.
But
you
property
can have
values.
I don't care about your property values.
I know, they're dumb.
If you want to go gulp, I am totally fine with that. Go live on your island, or create your city that will be only for rich people that no one else can enter. I don't care. You will probably have some problems though.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I'm gonna quit playing devil's advocate now because I pretty much exhausted all of the argumentative points of that side, of which they are few to begin with. And just sort of add on to what you guys are saying, that look, if you are super rich and you want to live where there aren't a lot of poor people, guess what? You're super rich. You can totally just go do that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places where you can live where there aren't any poor people.
Go buy a house in the Hamptons or something.
Yeah.
Or live in a building that doesn't have poor people living in it. You can do that.
Right.
There are a lot of them. Manhattan, there are.
You want to go through New York without smelling piss on the sidewalk? Go hire a limo or a black cab or something. Just
have a car service on retainer.
But if
Right.
you
You
want to
know, you can
live
probably
in a
afford
society-
to do that.
Go
If you
rent
want
a
to
room
live-
from Michael Moore. He's got an extra room he won't be needing.
if every business, if any business, if a single coffee shop started having the rich person's entrance and the poor person's entrance, there would be riots. Very small riots.
Well,
I didn't go to the coffee
Well,
shop,
there is
but
sort
would
of
be
there
riots.
is sort of that thing already. I mean, I don't know about coffee shops, but there are definitely establishments that that there's like, okay, take like for example conventions. Let's take conventions. People with like, for example, an Anime Expo. If you have a Premier badge, there's a special line for people with Premier badges.
There is.
And if you go to
Yeah,
Walt Disney
PAX
World,
doesn't
you
have
can
that.
buy the skip the line passes for X number of days.
Which is essentially expedited and better service for richer people.
Yeah, and that's fine, as long as
As long as it's
Well-
socially acceptable for those establishments to have those.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of cultural hypocrisy, wouldn't you say?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like there's a difference
Nelson.
between. What's up?
There's a difference between that and a special line, rich people line at coffee shops.
Not a
There's no
special rich
difference.
people line, a special rich people. Actually, it's not that it's a special rich people entrance.
It's that you have
that
the
it's a
divider
special-
down the middle of the coffee shop, and
Yeah.
one side of the coffee shop is for rich people, and the other side of the coffee shop is for poor people.
It's not a
But
special rich
restaurants
person
do that
entrance
all-
in this building.
but-
It's a special poor person entrance in this building.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want a helipad on your apartment and it passes code and all that bullshit, sure, have a helipad. That is your special rich person's entrance. But if a poor person hires
Yeah.
a helicopter and saves up all their money, they can use that helipad. Like, unless it's your helipad for your specific apartment.
Yeah.
Like, if you live with people, you need to interact with them to a certain degree. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that? It's unreasonable to expect someone to have a private helicopter service to land on the helipad to deliver them home. Well, you're just going to have to use the poor people entrance then, you fucking plebeian.
Everybody gets a jetpack.
I think we need to look at historical precedent. Because we have
So
had...
welcome to welcome to New York Towers Apartments. Here's your room key. Here's your complimentary jetpack for getting up to the
Hey
helipad.
guys, we have a live viewer.
A live viewer. Hello.
So it's
Hello.
hello
How are
live
you doing?
viewer. How you
Oh,
doing?
Yeah, I feel like in a society, people need to make certain sacrifices.
And
Not
part
Isn't
of
the
the
whole thing about being rich that you don't have to make sacrifices?
No, you're still...
No.
If you are in my society, you will make certain sacrifices.
Mhm.
And that is how our society, that's like the mindset that most people, I would say, have. That's why people are outraged about this. Probably more than they should be, but,
Mhm.
you know, they think that it's unfair to, you know, shunt the poor people into their own place. Like, when a poor person comes to live in a rich neighborhood, they think, you know, the people in that neighborhood think, oh, these poor people are coming. Oh no, our property values. But the poor people have a right to live in that neighborhood. When black people from the South moved to Chicago and tried to get home loans for houses, there was a huge backlash and there was a huge amount of predatory lending done to them to try to get them to not live in you know, certain neighborhoods because of property values. And I think as a society we've figured out that maybe that's kind of a dick move. Basically, don't be a dick.
Okay, well that about sums that up. I
Like
think.
many people on Tumblr, I wish for a dickless society. Heyo.
Hey now. Don't do that. The feminine, the ultra, the real feminists on Tumblr are gonna come after you for making fun of them.
Mm.
No. That's no. The problem isn't the problem isn't feminists on Tumblr. The problem is people who are just fucking insane on Tumblr, who generally have nothing to do with the feminist movement at large.
No. That's why I was saying. Yeah. That's why I was saying the true feminists and big old.
You need to make very, very large, very sarcastic bunny ears.
Okay, all right, ready?
No true Scotsman feminists.
True giant air quotes to be able to help our listeners as well as the people who will at some point watch the stream. The true feminists in giant air quotes will get mad at you, Nelson, for making fun of them.
Yes, yeah. I make fun of a lot of people. I would like to make a disclosure right now. I, Nelson, am a feminist. I think that MRA people are dumb and really, really dumb. I think that while, yes, the real term might be egalitarianism, you sound like a dick when you argue for it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being dicks to each other. Just stop.
The true victim of the MRA activists were fedoras and trilbies. Yes. Trilbies for their form, fedoras for the name.
Mm-hmm. And now nobody wears nice hats anymore. And it's
which is just really a pity.
It is. If you wear a bowler hat, you just look stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
You can't wear a bowler derby.
You can still wear a cowboy hat, but you got to be outside to do that. You can't just wear that around.
Yeah, don't wear that inside.
And don't wear that in the Northeast.
Yeah. We will know.
Or anywhere north of the Mason-Dixon line. Anywhere that is both north of the Mason-Dixon line and east of the Mississippi, just don't.
Yeah.
Don't wear it.
And if you do, don't be surprised when we assume you're from the South, because we know you're from the South. Or the Southwest, but probably the South.
Or you're a Doctor Who fan,
Yeah, I don't know.
Wearing a
guys.
Cool.
I'm from pretty deep South.
Cool.
Yeah, Trevor can get away with it. He's from the South.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, so basically, don't be dicks to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to not like poor people, but don't be a dick about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so that was our final topic. So let's commence in the traditional plugging of the things. Justin, you have the privilege of going last, as you were shanghaied into this episode at the last moment. Okay. But you two, you guys ought to know better. So So Churba, Nelson, which one do you want to go first?
Nelson.
Oh shit.
Gotta be faster off
the proverbial.
I know. Okay, I am going to plug something that you probably don't need and you probably may have not heard of, but there is a thing called IRC. It is Internet Relay Chat. It has been around since the dawn of man. If you are into IRC and you are on a Macintosh computer, there is a client that is really good, made by some really cool indie developers, and it is called Textuel. It is in the App Store. It's like $5 or something. It's really good. Like, IRC does not get a lot of love in the design space because it is for nerds who are usually not design nerds, just a fair amount. But
IRC existed before computer design really.
Yeah, and a lot of IRC clients have not had any user experience upgrades since the mid-90s, and they're for the most part kind of shitty. But this one is good, and I think they might be making a Windows client of it. I don't know, but Textual.
Nelson, what does it do to shield people from the traditional IRC commands?
you can use the traditional commands, but it has a user interface that is very simple. Like, you can do all the crazy bullshit commands.
Right.
But if you just want to, like, join a server and then join a channel, you just do that really easily.
Set your nickname.
Yeah, you don't have to go and set, like, your, you know...
You don't have to do, like, / message, nickserve, username, password, email address.
And there's not a giant menu of options with some shitty GUI that you don't know what they mean. Like, you don't have to set your DC++ settings or any of the bullshit. You're just like, I want to join a server. I want to log on to this channel. Boom, you're done.
But Nelson, what if you want to be +O+V?
Nelson sets mode +M.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
You don't want to take the full responsibility. You don't want to take the full responsibility, huh?
Yeah, so if you are interested in IRC, or if you're like looking at an open source project, like, oh, how do I use Ubuntu? And you looked online and you're like, no one can answer my question. Almost every good open source project has a channel on Freenode. You just go on there and be like, hey, I need to do this thing. How do I do this thing? And everyone's like, hey, you just do that, and then you do that, and it's awesome. Textual. Get on IRC. It'll be around after the nuclear holocaust.
Yeah. All right, Churba?
Yes, what do you want?
Well, your plug.
Anyway, just the other day, it was discovered that there is actually a pretty large-scale Cards Against Humanity clone called Pretend You're XYZZY. Or XYZZY if you're a fucking barbarian. And I've been playing a shitload of Cards Against Humanity while I'm waiting for shit to come in for work, just on fucking random servers with random people. It is excellent.
You know what, Churba? I think I had a thing for the thing I was gonna plug, but I think just because of what you just said, I'm gonna plug something completely different.
Okay. Also, you can normally find me under, well, my name on the server called The Biggest Blackest Dick.
All right, so my thing of the day was originally going to be an old video about this little French girl who is telling a story about Winnie the Pooh and Hippopotamus and things like that, because it's adorable. But now my thing of the day is going to be a video about a Canadian who explains why it makes more sense to say Z instead of Z. Well, that's it. That was my thing of the day. You'll find it in the show notes. It's down to you.
Oh, well, I was not expecting to have to do this, so I've been thinking about things I liked, and I'm probably going to say something that's already been on the show before, but if you listen to podcasts and like listening to podcasts about people who don't know much about anything going on long tangents about nothing in particular, you should listen to Fast
Listen
Karate
to Friday Night Party Line.
Yes. But you should also listen to Dave and Joel's Fast Karate for the Gentlemen.
You should.
Yeah,
it's very good.
I 100% back this.
I started out a few years ago. I didn't know anything about karate at any speed, and now I have like 15 black belts.
You have the fastest karate?
I can interrogate a man and then have sex with his, like, secret agent, co-agent, whatever it's called, and partner, that's what it is, yes.
Sexist.
And do it all in 24 hours.
Yep. I know the
Jeez.
secret ritual to summon Jack Bauer, and if you listen to Fast Karate for the Gentlemen, you will too.
They've been going for a while now, though, so don't go all the way to the beginning. You may just want to start at the present and work your way backwards.
Just start whenever. Start on
Yeah.
one of the food ones. They know their food.
Mm-hmm.
Or listen to the
Apparently,
MD Geist episode.
Listen to the MD Geist episode.
Oh, Jesus. Or look for an episode titled Hanabi Higana Bro Up.
Yes. Anyways,
Quality
my
audio.
Okay.
Don't even fucking listen to this show. Just listen to Dave and Joel. Fuck this shit.
No. Just listen to us too. But listen to Dave and Joel as well.
mm-hmm.
And if by some strange coincidence you are listening to this show, but you do not listen to Geek Nights, listen to Geek Nights as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we
Also,
do
if
have
you-
demographic overlap.
Also, if somehow you listen to this show and Geek Nights and what's the other one again? Dave and Joel.
Dave and Joel.
You should
All right.
also listen to Atomic Trivia War 9000, on which Dave,
should.
Joel, and Gratz have all featured.
We have a
Yes,
very
yes.
special super duper plug.
Yeah.
It's The Magician's Land by Love Grossman.
You should read The
Oh,
Magician's
got
Land, the third book in the Magician's Series.
by Love Grossman.
by Lev Grossman. It comes out on the 8th
I
of
think so. August.
August.
How exciting!
Good book. You should read
Same
it.
day panel submissions
What's
closed.
her name so I can put it in the show notes?
This is Charlotte. This is a preview of an episode that will happen in the future where we will talk about
regarding
education.
If you
Yeah.
see a teacher, give them wads of money.
Yeah,
Yes.
teachers need money.
Wads
I'm
of
putting
money.
I'm putting it down
Stacks.
officially right now. I bet you a tenner that Quentin is still a raging dickhead by the end of that book.
Oh, completely. It's never been about Quentin. It's never been about Quentin.
It's about magic.
I hear the third one is more poppy and also like Ghost of Alice.
I can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm ready for another like a more lady-centric trip into Fillory.
Yeah.
I can
I
tell
like
she's
Alice
going to be
pretty much more than anyone else
a
in
good
that book.
guest in the future. I can tell.
Why, do I have a good face for radio?
Ah,
We're on video. Like, live.
I know. Sorry, long day, special ed. You kind of forget things.
It's cool, man. Taiwan blew up, so I'm been a bit run off my feet.
yeah, it's terrible.
What?
I don't know
No,
why we're all laughing about this.
No,
It's
what hap-
really
No,
bad.
not all of Taiwan. All of Taiwan did not blow up. Just a small segment of it.
In a city. Just one.
Yes.
Terrible.
On a scale of 1 to the amount of people dead in the like non-existent ceasefire right now.
Oh, it's like 0.0001%. It's
That's still
bad,
pretty catastrophic.
but it's you know.
Can
No.
we not do Israel Gaza, please? Simply because
Yeah, we're not doing
Hamas are a
that.
pack of fucking terrorists who are guilty of massive human rights abuses. Israel are a pack of raging fuckwits who are guilty of massive human rights abuses. And frankly, they both just need to stop firing fucking rockets at each other like wankers.
Yes.
Sherba, you need to like go into diplomacy, man. The world needs more of you.
I'd probably just punch everyone in sight until
That
fucking
is
people stop
diplomacy.
fighting.
Diplomacy should be in this day and age. Cut like all of this bullcrap around the edges of
For
it.
more, and on that note, if you are interested in that, you should watch the latest episode of PB. Well, maybe not the latest episode, the second latest episode of PBS Idea Channel, and watch why wars cannot be replaced with sports like boxing.
Damn it.
Oh.
I wasn't at any point pretending I would be sporting.
I was seriously watching kind of like
Pocket
US
sand.
Battle Royale.
Replace all wars with gridiron. That way, America can actually take over the world.
Replace all wars with Arma.
Yes.
I'm
Huh?
a King's War.
No,
It's a perfectly realistic military experience.
again, you like military things that are meant to exclude women.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Fucking sexist.
Arma should have ladies in it. But I'm going
Yes.
to.
Arma does,
Terrorism.
does not have ladies in it.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It was a big
Because
kerfuffle.
I don't play Arma, but
Actually, aren't there women civilians and just no female soldiers? I can't remember
They're
which
still
models
pretty
they have.
terrible.
There are in the second one. In the new one, I don't know if they have the character models. I'm pretty sure they will eventually because a lot of people are like, no, just like put ladies in
NPCs
it.
don't count.
Yeah.
NPCs do not count.
But anyway,
NPCs do not contribute to the Bechdel test.
yeah.
Sorry, feminist asshole.
No, it's fine.
No.
This show is
Okay,
like
well, that wraps up this
at
show.
least half feminists. So, well, sort of. Nelson's a feminist. I just don't associate myself with any movement and try not to fucking be a dick to people. Well, who don't deserve it. On an institutional level.
I'm essentially the same. Yeah. All right, so that has been an interesting episode of Friday Night Party Line. Thank you, everyone, for coming on, and thank you, Charlotte, for piping up in the last few minutes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for putting up with
All
me.
right, we'll have you on. We'll have you on properly for the next show. Nelson, she's on Facebook, right?
I think so. Do you face the books?
Only with you, darling. Only with you. I'll bring notes next time so I don't sound like such a fucking moron.
Don't worry about it. I never do.
Party line.
I mean, seriously, half the time it's lucky if I read.
All
the
right, that's it.
topics.
We're wrapping this up now. We're at a minute and 50. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. We're wrapping this up. Thanks everybody for coming on to the show, and we will see you next month on Friday Night Party Line.